Final observations. We have already discussed the grammatical marking of different forms, grammatical forms, then the marking of objects and substances, also the grammatical marking of gender, which have been noticed as something which is different in different languages. So that we have looked at the number of studies, a lot of studies that have been conducted in these different areas, and the results have to be analyzed in the light of Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. So how shall we think of all of these results? Now, with regard to this particular hypothesis, which is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, it is clearly enjoying a resurgence, which means that it continues to develop, it continues to grow. Although earlier studies found negative or inconclusive results, more recent studies have generally been supportive of the concept of linguistic relativity, that the concept that language varies situation to situation, it varies culture to culture, and people who speak differently have the concepts or the perceptions of the world different. They look at the situations differently because they speak differently. So the hypothesis, which relies on the linguistic determinism and linguistic relativity, the aspect of linguistic relativity has been in particular proposed by Whorf. Therefore, this, despite the controversy, despite the lot of debate, it is still considered, the recent studies have supported this version of the hypothesis, that yes, people have a different way of looking at different things or their situations and personal events because they use language differently. Both Sapir and Whorf agreed that it is our culture that determines our language, which in turn basically determines the way that we categorize our thoughts about the world and our experiences in it. For more than 50 years, researchers have tried to design studies that will support or refute this hypothesis. Support for the strong version has been weak because it is virtually impossible to test one's worldview without using language, but support for the weaker version has been minimal. Problems have been there with regard to discerning exactly what the hypothesis is stating. Now, the problem is that the hypothesis begins when one tries to discern exactly what it is stating. Penn notes that the hypothesis is stated more or less strongly in different places in Sapir and Whorf's writing. At some point, Sapir and Whorf appear to support the strong version of the hypothesis, and at others they only support the weak version. So Alford also shares the view of Penn and states that neither Sapir nor Whorf actually named any of their ideas about language and cognition the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, and the name only appeared after their death. This has led to a wide interpretation of what researchers consider to be the one and only hypothesis, that it is not something that have been used by Sapir and Whorf, rather this name emerged after their death as a one hypothesis. Another problem is that the hypothesis is the fact that it requires a measurement of human thought. Now, this measuring thought means that one's worldview is nearly impossible without the confounding influence of language, another of the variable being studied. Now, this aspect has also been studied extensively, and that whether measuring thought and one's worldview is nearly impossible, without the confounding influence of language. Researchers basically agree that the study of behavior has a direct link to thought. Then we have another important aspect with regard to this hypothesis is that the supporter of Sapir-Whorf hypothesis also need to acknowledge that their study of language in the real world is not without doubt if their language influences how they categorize what they seem to experience. We also have another problem, which is that languages and linguistic concepts are highly translatable. Under the linguistic determinism, a concept in one language would not be understood in a different language because the speakers and their worldviews are bound by different set of rules, and those set of rules are their cultural specific. One final problem researchers have found with this hypothesis is Whorf's lack of empirical support for his linguistic insight. Schlesinger, for example, fails to see the connection between Whorf's linguistic evidence and any cultural or cognitive data. According to him, Whorf occasionally supplies the translations from a foreign language into English and leaves it to the good faith of the reader to accept the conclusion that here must have been corresponding cognitive or cultural phenomenon. So this was another area which addresses the problem of translation that has also been discussed by a number of researchers. To conclude, since its inception, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis has caused a lot of controversy and debate and generated research in a variety of disciplines, including linguistics, psychology, philosophy, anthropology, and education. Therefore, it is highly meaningful and important hypothesis where the idea is not to look at only the role of language in relation to thought, but also how different thoughts or how different thinking pattern can also be analyzed in the context of the different use of languages in different societies.